Hey Carlos, so I have your config all done up. So as I was mentioning before, this is the power button, right? And that illuminated switch is just always on whenever the battery's in the Saber. And then this silver tactile here, that's your auxiliary switch. That's what you use to go through. So the very first sound font is now Blaze, and if you hit this once, you'll go to the fire font that I put on here is the second one. Then if you hit it again, battery power level, you get to the power level, which has the battery indicator, right? And then, as I mentioned, as the battery loses its charge, this LED will sort of travel down the blade as the battery degrades, right? So, and then if you hit it again, you're back at the top of the list. So this is Blaze, and this is the blade that I can sell you along with the Saber. This is a 36-inch Bendu Armory heavy grade NeoPixel blade. Actually, let me. I'll just pop it out real quick. So the way you pop these out is that these sabers, because they're sort of designed for dueling. This has two blade retention screws vertically rather than horizontally. So you got one at the lower part of the blade and one at the top part of the blade on the emitter. So they're really stable inside here. Right. So that's your PCB or your connecting pad, which connects to those NeoPixel pins inside there. And then that's how the data and the power travels up into the blade. And then you'll notice the thickness around here, around that pad. And you'll notice how thick that is. That tells you that this is a heavy grade blade. And plus the weight of the blade. This is about, I want to say, 1/3 of an ounce heavier than standard grade blades. So usually you can tell heavy grade blades by the weight in comparison to other pixel blades. So you'll notice these little marks down here. Don't worry about those. Those are very normal, and that's just from seeking them into sabers and using blade retention screws to lock them in over time. They get those tiny little marks. If those marks bother you a whole lot, easiest thing to do is just get some like 220 grit sandpaper and just carefully run it over that outside portion of that blade until it'll basically just wipe away those pock marks after a few minutes of light sanding. Right. Okay, so these blade retention screws are back in. Power on. Gestures were disabled, so no gestures. Nothing will turn on the Saber other than the power button. And then your aux gives you like blaster block. And then holding the aux button and clashing gives you the lockup. Holding down the power button and tapping the aux gives you lightning block. So holding down the aux button and then tapping it against the wall, that's what gives you the melt function. Now, if you just want this, that's what's called stab, and that's what's different. Stab is just a momentary, whereas the melt function is holding down the aux button and then just connecting it to any object. And then the same thing is true with tip drag, only with tip drag the Saber has to be vertical towards the ground. And then you get that, the white. Now, this is what's called a gradient flame blade. So you'll notice as you tip the blade down, the flame on the blade actually licks up, right? And then as you level it out, blade comes back out to the full length. So it's sort of got that more realistic, behavior of how a flame behaves, right? So when you have it all the way down, the flame licks up to about the top third of the blade. Okay, and now the fire font, the one I added for you, is as a variant. Similar hum, right? Similar swing sounds. The reason I thought you might like this one on top is because it has slightly different clash and blast effects. That's your melt sound. But the blade is the same. It's also a gradient flame blade, so it also licks up the blade. Now the style of the blade itself on this one is only minorly different. They're very similar. And then your third one in the preset is your power indicator. And then you click on the aux again, and you're back up top with blaze. So that's on your saber. This would be the blade included. And we talked about $320 as an out the door price, which includes shipping. So the way the saber would come to you in the shipping containers, it would be the saber and the blade will be detached. So I will have these things loosened up. I'll pull the blade out. I will have I'll have one of these on the PCB connector pad end of the blade. This is a blade cap, and this is just to protect that blade cap. Or excuse me, it's to protect the connecting pad on that side of the blade so that it doesn't get damaged or dirty, when it's not inside the blade. The other thing I'm also going to send you along with this is the Allen key that you're going to need for screwing and unscrewing these blade retention screws right here. Okay, and then I'm also going to send you this. So this is a single lithium-ion cell charger, and it connects. It has a USB connector. So long as you got something like an iPhone charging block, something like that, you can connect that. You can connect this to a charging block, so long as the charging block you're using does not go above 5 volts. You want to only use a charging block that is 5 volts or less. It's preferable that you use a charging block that is between 3.7 to 4.2 volts. That's optimal. It can go up to 5 without damaging the battery, but you don't want to use a charging block that distributes more than 5 volts. You will damage the battery over time. So just putting that out there for you. So coming to you would be the hilt with the chassis inside, the blade, Allen key, and then the charging block. So let me know if you have any questions, and look forward to hearing back from you. All right, thanks.